Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
I am ready for the event.
Houston ACR, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Houston ACR. How do you hear me?
I have you loud and clear.
Please stand by for opening remarks.
Hi, my name is Marlena Jacinto, but most of our students know me as Mrs. J. I'm an intervention specialist here in Vermilion High School in Ohio. I recently had the honor of attending my dear friend, Commander of Crew 10, NASA astronaut Anne McClain's second launch to the International Space Station. I would like to thank her personally, NASA, and our inquisitive students for this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity here in Sailor Nation. Here is our first question.
Hi, my name is Cameron. I'm in 8th grade. I want to know if you could have any tool or gadget to be used during a spacewalk that doesn't exist, what would it be?
Well, hello to everybody down there in Ohio. I love talking about spacewalks, so I'm glad you asked this. In fact, I'm dressed up and ready for it. This is one of our EVA gloves. I used this 3 weeks ago out on a spacewalk. You know, and I thought so much about your question on what I'd want. Our tools are really excellent because we have excellent people like those at NASA Glenn, who many of you know, that kind of create for us what we need. And we have been on space station for 25 years, so mostly we have what we need. But I will tell you that one thing that I would love is if we had more of everything. So we have limited numbers of, say, foot restraints. Foot restraints are really important for holding us into position when we're working. On the last spacewalk that I did, I spent probably 45 minutes to an hour out of the 5.5 hours we were outside going to different parts of space station in order to get a foot restraint and go install it over here and then take it back over here. And if we had like 30 of those outside, then maybe we wouldn't have to go so far to get one.
My name's Ava. I'm a freshman, and my question is, what steps did you take in order to pursue your dreams of becoming an astronaut? And what is the biggest thing you have learned from being one?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think back to when I was your age. I can remember when I was all of your ages sitting there and having a dream of being an astronaut. I've wanted to be an astronaut ever since I was 3 years old. But I went to school in Spokane, Washington. There were no astronauts. I didn't even know any pilots growing up. And so it was like this something that I knew about that seemed so far away. And I remember really early on, I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade, and I just thought, you know, I'm going to make sure I do something every single day to prepare myself to become an astronaut. Whether that was doing my math homework, studying for a test, or going outside and maintaining physical fitness with my body, or maybe reading a magazine and learning more about it and what it took. And then as I went on, I just kept doing that. I kept opening doors. Some of you are getting ready to finish high school, and my advice to you is if you don't know what you want to do, just keep opening doors. Go to school, get training, do something that creates opportunities. So what I did was I looked for all of those opportunities that would move me in the direction of somebody that would be selected as an astronaut. So when choosing my undergraduate education, when choosing what extracurricular activities I did, when I chose my major, I was thinking along the lines of what would prepare me for that job. And it is such a massive amount of work that has to get done in order to be eligible to become selected as an astronaut that I really just took it one day at a time. So if you feel intimidated by your goals, remember everyone achieved their goals one day and one decision at a time.
I'm Zayden, and as a member of our Solar Tech Robotics team, I want to know how much do you really rely on robots?
Hey, Zayan, I will tell you, we rely on robotics a lot. Canada has been a massive international partner for us, so important. They provide most of our robotics here on Space Station. Space Station is about the size of a football field. It's massive. There are things outside all the time that need to be upgraded or fixed or moved, and that's both science experiments and things like computer systems and boxes that process information or batteries. And all of these things can actually, or most of these things I should say, can be done robotically. And the things that can't be done robotically, that's why we do spacewalks, to go outside and upgrade or maintain the space station. As an example, on my last mission, we had a failure of a main box switching unit, which is like 1/4 of all of Space Station's powers go through these units. And we had a failure of one of those. And the robotics team was actually able to go out and what we call R&R, remove and replace that entire box and reestablish that power. So pretty amazing what we can do with robotics, and it's getting better and better every time.
Hi, I'm Reese. I'm a junior. Who was your biggest influential person in your life who provided you with hope to become an astronaut?
Hello, that's a great question because I was a kid that wasn't really sure of myself. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate. I didn't know if I was going to be smart enough. I didn't know if I was going to be good enough. I didn't really know the path I was supposed to take. But I had key teachers and school staff. It's not just the teachers, but all the people that work in the school that I was surrounded by who continually told me when I told them big dreams, they said, you know, I think you could do it. And here's what you can do. They believed in me. And I will tell you, even at this launch, I'm 45 years old. I haven't been in school for a really long time, but I invited my teachers to come with me to watch my launch because their belief in me made such a difference. And I know people like Mrs. J believe in each one of you. Those are the people you need to listen to. Don't ever listen to the people that tell you you can't do it. Always listen to the people that believed in you.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline. I am in 10th grade, and my question was what's something unexpected you've learned or experienced while living in space that has changed how you see life on Earth?
Yeah, space gives us an amazing vantage point of our planet. With just one look out my eyeballs, I can see half of civilization. And so it's really incredible and humbling to understand our size. I think something that really kind of flipped that switch in my mind, realizing how much humans are all connected, was watching natural disasters from space. So you can see a hurricane, and it's gigantic. It can be as big as, you know, part of a continent. You can see it building out in the ocean, and then you can see it going to land. And you realize everybody along that geographical feature is going to be impacted by that storm. And I think before I saw that with my own eyes, I always thought of it like countries. You always hear, or states. You always hear, like, maybe there's a hurricane in Florida, and that seems really far away. Maybe there's an earthquake in California. That seems really far away. But what you realize is these natural disasters don't pick countries. They don't pick states. It's just a natural phenomenon that happens to us, and we're really all in it together.
Hi, my name is Tony. I'm in 3rd grade. Did you have a doctor in the space in case you get hurt or sick? Can you break bones in the space?
Hi, Tony. You can definitely break bones in space. In fact, if you look around at the space station, everything is really hard metal. And one of the best pieces of advice that I got from one of my crewmates was, be careful when you translate and you float around, because if you get a finger caught or a toe caught when you're translating, you'll be reminded very quickly that space station is hard, but you are still squishy. So yes, you can get injured. Now, luckily, we have an amazing team of flight surgeons on the ground. Those are doctors that are specially prepared to take care of people who are flying or in space. Sometimes we have a doctor on board. We do have doctors that are astronauts, and sometimes we don't. So all of us are trained in basic medical care. We also have multiple of these type of kits. This is exactly what a medical kit looks like. And these were packed by our doctors long before we flew. And they have everything that doctors think that we might need in an emergency or in a normal case. We have every medicine that you could ever buy at the pharmacy, and we have so many things to take care of traumatic injuries. In fact, we learned how to do dentist work and give each other Novocaine. Luckily, I've never seen that happen, and I hope I never do. We learn how to set bones and give CPR in case there's an emergency. But most commonly, it's little things like Band-Aids or maybe taking a little bit of medicine for a headache.
Hi, my name is Colton, and I'm in 8th grade. If you could send a song or perform music from the International Space Station as a way to emotionally connect to people on Earth to space, what kind of message or feeling would you want that music to express?
Colton, I really love this question, and it's the first time I've been asked this, so I love how inquisitive you are. It's a very thoughtful question. I think what I would tell everybody, I think what space gives me is a real sense of optimism and connection with people. And throughout all of our history, humans have always prevailed, and a good, positive human optimism and spirit have always prevailed. And so I think there's a song right now that's out, and it's pretty simple. It's self-explanatory, and it says, you're going to be okay. Right? When you think it's night, when you think it's over, this is not the end of the story, you are going to be okay. And when I look down at the Earth and I see all of the beauty and all of the connectedness, and I look at something like the International Space Station that humans got together, bonded by a common dream, and put together this amazing space station, I look at all of humankind and I say, you're going to be okay. And to everybody that's struggling a little bit out there in the audience at school, I know school is tough. I promise it's going to be okay.
Hi, my name's Drew, and I'm in 8th grade, and my question is, what's something surprising you've learned about how the human body changes in space?
Yeah, Drew, one of the interesting things to me is seeing how the human body changes in space, and we are constantly studying it. In fact, we study the changes in our own human body all the time. Just today, we drew our own blood to send down on a cargo vehicle that's leaving this afternoon so that the scientists and researchers can look at that and see how maybe our blood changed. One of the interesting things is kind of simple. If you think about gravity on Earth, right, you're always being pulled down to the ground. Right now, you're probably sitting in your chair or you're standing up, but your body is under gravity. So there is a force that is pulling all the fluids that are inside your body down toward the ground. But your body is used to that, so it pushes all those fluids back up. Now, up here in space, I'm floating. My entire body's floating, which means all of the fluids inside of my body are also floating, and they float up, and they increase the pressure in my head. One of the kind of cool things that you can do up here is you can measure the pressure of your eyeball to kind of understand how much that pressure has shifted. And we do that by numbing our eyes and having one of our crewmates tap on our eyeballs to get a pressure measurement.
Hi, my name is Braden. I'm in 8th grade. And if you can't hear sounds in space because it is a vacuum, how do you guys speak to each other while aboard and during spacewalks?
Braden, that's a great question. Your body is very reactive to pressure. So space is a vacuum. You're very correct. However, our body could not survive without protection in that vacuum. So right now you see me, I'm wearing a polo shirt and pants. I could walk into that auditorium and be wearing the same thing and be just as safe. And that's because this incredible machine of the International Space Station provides my body with everything that it needs. It's the right temperature. It has the right gas mix. So right now when I breathe, I'm getting the right amount of oxygen. And as we speak, there are people sitting in mission control monitoring just that. They're monitoring the pressure. They're monitoring the constituents in the air to make sure that I can run around in a polo shirt and talk to you. So when we go on a spacewalk, we take that environment and we shove it all into a suit. So if you look at us on a spacewalk, there's a big backpack behind us, and that's our portable life support system, and it does just that. It supports our life. So inside of our spacesuit, we still have the pressure, temperatures, and air mixes that we need as a human to survive. Now, the pressure is a little bit different in a suit as it is on Earth and as it is in station. So kind of a fun fact, when we go on spacewalks, our voice changes a little bit because voice is a vibration of your vocal cords, right? And under a different pressure, that sounds different. So we kind of laugh that that's our vacuum voice. Now, we're not really at vacuum because we wouldn't survive, but we are at a different pressure and it changes our voices.
Hello, my name is Joseph. I'm a senior at Vermilion High School, and I'd like to know, how does orbiting around the Earth every 90 minutes mess with your sleep and perception of time?
Hey, Joseph. Well, one of the ways it messes with our sleep is that Earth is so beautiful, sometimes we stay up way too late and get up way too early to take pictures. So that messes with us a little bit. But we are going 17,500 miles an hour. We go around every 90 minutes, which means every 45 minutes out our window is a sunrise and a sunset. Now, a couple ways that we manage this. One is that, as you see, we don't have a lot of windows on Space Station. We do have some, but they're very heavy, and so we only have them in a couple places. So unless we go to the window, we don't actually know if it's light or dark outside. Right now, I couldn't tell you if we're in a day or night because I haven't looked outside lately. But the other way is that our bodies have certain circadian rhythms that we're used to on Earth, right? And so we get up, we actually are on London time, or GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. And so we'd have a very normal sleep schedule. So, we sleep 8 hours a night, we get up in the morning, we go to bed at night. We also can change our lights. If I leaned up here and push a button, I can change the brightness of the light. And we can do that to kind of trick our brains into understanding what time it is. We can put blue light, we can put more blue light on, like sunlight. We can get rid of that at nighttime. So we can regulate it by the lights. But keeping a routine is really important, and Mission Control sets us a great schedule to keep that routine.
Hi, my name is Steven, and I'm a junior. I would like to know this. What is your favorite module of the International Space Station?
Stephen, that one is easy. It's the cupola. It's a giant bay window on the bottom of Space Station that has glass. Well, it has see-through panes all the way around us, and it's got, so it's like sitting in a bay window, and we can just be surrounded by Earth. It's pretty amazing in there. It gets pretty busy, especially when there's auroras or there's something really beautiful happening. It's amazing how many crew members you can put in the cupola at the same time, but by far, my favorite module with my favorite view.
Hi, I'm Cody. I'm a junior, and I was wondering what your favorite geographical feature on Earth to view from the International Space Station is.
Cody, a couple things. So on my last flight, one of the things that struck me was the Great Lakes. Now, I know you all live right next to the Great Lakes, but I had never been there before my last mission, and I have been lucky enough since then to go visit Miss J and see the Great Lakes myself. And they are incredible, but you guys are very lucky to live right next to one of the best geographical features that I've ever seen. The other thing that I've really loved seeing lately is lightning storms. From here, they are very bright flashes, so bright that they actually reflect off of the space station. And this is another feature that reminds me that we're all connected, because these storms just impact large swaths of land at a time, and they're really just incredible to look at.
Hi, my name is Liana. I'm in 8th grade. I'm curious to know what kinds of data do you think future space missions will need most to help researchers on Earth figure out if a planet can support life?
Liana, I think one of the trickiest parts about supporting life is kind of how picky our bodies are. We get really spoiled on Earth. We can walk outside, we can breathe the air, we can kind of you can get in your car, you can drive 10 hours away, and you can still breathe the air there. Right, so all around Earth, our bodies can survive there, except for maybe if you go really high up on Mount Everest where there's less oxygen. But the International Space Station, to maintain that perfect equilibrium of what my body and your body needs to survive, takes a lot of machinery and a lot of technology. So when I think about surviving on another planet, I go a step further. How do you live and thrive on another planet? Right? So we are surviving in low Earth orbit, and we are thriving in low Earth orbit. But how do you scale this? We could never have 100 people living on Space Station. It couldn't support it. You know, the most we've had on Space Station, I think, is around 15 or 16 people. And that's a lot of people, right? But we couldn't sustain 50 people for that long because of how many consumables for life support and for food. And so I think when I think about living on another planet, don't think about somebody going there and spending 3 or 4 days there. Think about how do we get a lot of people there for a long period of time with systems that are reliable enough to do so. That's a huge challenge, and one we need a lot of new, young, fresh ideas for. So if you're interested in space exploration, we really could use you.
Hi, my name is Skylee. I'm in 8th grade. What is your favorite observable space event you see from the space station?
Skylee, I think something that's really beautiful that we have a unique vantage point for are auroras. And you guys are far enough north that maybe you've seen some auroras, and they're kind of this green phenomena that happens over the poles. And you can see it with your bare eyes sometimes, and it almost looks like a gas that is dancing off of the Earth. And it's absolutely mesmerizing and just beautiful.
Thank you, NASA Dragon Crew 10 and Commander Anne McClain for this incredible learning experience. I am Jennifer Bengal, former science teacher and current principal of Vermilion High School. And on behalf of our Vermilion Sailor community, we extend our sincere gratitude for the work you are doing on the International Space Station to inspire future generations of problem solvers and explorers.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you today. I'm so excited for the futures that each of you have. You're going to make incredible strides for humankind. You guys are not too far from NASA Glenn. Go check it out. Go talk to the people that work there and see if maybe there's a career for you in space. But whatever your dream is, remember, one day at a time.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.